Welcome to Classical Homeopathy Channel with Bill Gray. Today I'm going to talk about another kingdom, the animal kingdom. And of course there's many things I could say about that, but I want to pick out a few individual remedy types in the snake family. Snakes, of course, are animals. And in general, they tend to be kind of showy personalities. Their presence is very easily noticed when they come in the room. You know, attention is drawn to them right away. They have each individual remedy in the snake family have different ways of getting that attention, and I'll describe some of that. But the point is that they tend to have attention on them, and they love the attention on them. They tend to be kind of seductive in that way. I don't mean necessarily only in a sexual sense, but seductive in a personality sense. They draw you into their sphere. They also have extremely complex personalities. They're commonly described as having two sides of their personality. One is this kind of showy presentation kind of thing, but the other is second guessing themselves, thinking more in spiritual realms, or wondering about other aspects of themselves and judging themselves, so that they're always trying to figure out how to integrate the different sides of themselves into one authentic, unified whole, which is a challenge for the snake remedies. The prime remedy in this family that every homeopath knows early on in their training is a remedy called lachesis. It's made from a snake from South America, and it was proven very early in homeopathic history. Some interesting stories around that, but I won't go into that today. People who need this remedy tend to be very dynamic. They come in the room, their voice is louder than the room. They tend to command attention. They're very prominent. They're loquacious. They tend to talk and interrupt. If they listen, they get the idea of what the other person is saying quickly, and they jump in and finish their sentences for them. Everybody knows somebody like that, I think. They can be bossy, but I wouldn't say they're so much bossy as just dominating in their presence. They also are suspicious. They're mistrustful. They tend to be jealous of other people who are getting attention. This is all very animated in people who need the remedy lachesis. The types of ailments that we commonly give lachesis for, and it works very well for, are things like especially high blood pressure. You can imagine intense personality like that, their blood pressure tends to go very high. Their tendency is to have strokes rather than heart attacks. It's a big remedy for strokes. People with this personality who've had a stroke, it's a very useful remedy. They tend to bleed easily. They may have nosebleeds, or they get easy bruising. And they're generally intolerant more to heat. So they're aggravated in a warm room or on a hot day, especially a warm room. They need open air. Another member of the snake family is Crotalus horridus, which is a rattlesnake, one type of rattlesnake. They tend to be they're also intense personalities and quite bossy personalities. Here they want to give orders and have orders followed. They tend to focus mostly on their family, and they kind of see the family as in a power relationship. It's like do what I say is the Crotalus horridus worldview, you might say. They tend to be, by contrast to lachesis, they tend to be chili. It's also another remedy for high blood pressure and for strokes and for easy bleeding and so on. And more for cardiac problems than lachesis. Crotalus horridus is better for cardiac problems than lachesis is. In females, menstrual symptoms are very dramatic and very easily cured by Crotalus horridus. All kinds, from PMS to just dysmenorrhea, pain, or just chronic symptoms like migraines or something that are aggravated by menstrual periods. That could fit both lachesis and Crotalus horridus. Another in the rattlesnake family is Crotalus cascavella. It's a different rattlesnake, and the personality of these people is very similar but more subdued. They're not as intense. They don't take over a room when they come into the room. They may even hold back a little bit, but there's something about the look in their eyes and so on that attracts people. They can be quite seductive, not merely erotically, but with kind of snake-like eyes. It's hard to describe. Snake-like eyes that draw you in. They also, though, have a very prominent development in their spiritual realm. They're very psychic. They can read other people's minds. They're good at predicting the future. They leave their body and have experiences with ghosts and other kinds of non-physical entities. This comes naturally to Crotalus cascavella. They may not discuss it openly in a homeopathic interview unless you ask them about it. They're mystical is another word. I would say that they're mystical and they're charming in a kind of magical way. Still, it's a snake remedy. It's a very good remedy in menopause, for hot flashes and so on, if the rest of this personality fits. Actually, all these remedies are good in menopause, but Crotalus cascavella will work best if the personality fits this type of personality. Tends to be a thyroid remedy more than the other snake remedies, and they tend to have hives, urticaria or hives on their skin more frequently than the others. And finally, I'll mention, I think I've mentioned before, Naja tripudians, which is the cobra snake. Again, they're not so necessarily dominating in a room full of people. They don't impress you that way, but they tend to come to the rise if there's any kind of injustice. They'll come forward and do something about it if they sense any kind of injustice. They're very much a protector type remedy, not just for families, but for whole communities. The mythology in India about cobra is that the value of the cobra snake is that it protects the village. And this actually manifests pretty well in the human beings as well. One of the characteristics about them is a little bit seen in the other snakes as well, but it's most prominent in the Naja, is their speech is kind of jumbled up. They swallow their words and they mumble. It's a little difficult to understand them when they're trying to communicate. But like I say, they're more quiet, a little more self-effacing unless they get it, something gets a rise out of them around injustice. Naja is a remedy that also has high blood pressure, but is much more focused on the cardiac problems. It can be arrhythmias, it can be heart failure, it can be heart attacks and effects of heart attacks, it can be even valvular effects of valvular problems. It can be a remedy in stroke, but it's not as common as the other snake remedies. So this should give you a taste of the snake remedies. Maybe some other time we can do spiders, we can do mammals, we can do milks, but this will give you a taste through the snake lens of the animal kingdom. Thank you very much. Talk to you next time.